Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video, and as you can see we're back on the Commodore 64. No more poncing about with Commodore 128s or Commodore Plus 4s or anything like that. We're back on Old Faithful. So well, let's get the game underway, and I'll tell you that the game that I'm reviewing this time is G.I. Joe. Great, eh? Now, this was released by Epyx in 1985. Now, between 83 and 85, Epyx were releasing some, seriously good titles. I mean, they released Pitstop II, Impossible Mission, Winter Games, Summer Games 2, 6 fantastic titles. Now, it gave you the overall impression, deservedly so, that when it came to releasing decent games, Epyx was a name that you could trust. They also released G.I. Joe. You may be starting to get a sort of idea as to what I think of this game. Well, here we are then with the title page. The audio seems very quiet, but I'm not that sorry about that actually, because the audio does start to get in your tits after a while. So this title page really does make you think that they had people like me in mind with it, because it proudly says Epyx presents G.I. Joe, a real American hero. Well, that's really got the game appealing to me. Now, the game, as far as I'm aware, was only released on disc, which means it was a dismal seller in the UK. Disc drives weren't as popular in the UK as they were particularly in the US, primarily because they were a lot more expensive in this country, so everyone just had cassette drives. So I mean, there were an awful lot. Everyone from back in the day will remember this all too clearly and all too painfully. There were a lot of disc-based games that did get cassette releases. Some worked okay, some were a fucking nightmare. Like I say, I'm pretty sure this one didn't get a cassette release. And when you see the game in action, you'll be quite glad about that actually. So, well, let's get the game underway, shall we? Right, so here we are. So on this map screen, you get to choose which level to you're going to play. There are two main types of level. This one here, with like the circular display, involves you going in either a jet fighter or a helicopter or a jeep or a tank. And these ones here with like the cross graphic, it's you're just going in as the soldier. So I'll tell you what, I'll start way up here. So you press fire to select the level, and then you wait for more disc accessing. And believe me, if there's one thing that happens a lot in this game, it's disc accessing. So here we are, this is Cobra then, these are the enemies that you are fighting. If, like me, you have no idea what G.I. Joe action figures are all about, then these names will mean absolutely fuck all to you. So anyway, it looks like I'm going up against Baroness. So now I have to pick one of my 12 G.I. Joe fighters. So seeing as I am going to be in the Arctic, let's choose old Snow Job. So when you select him, the G.I. Joe logo appears, and guess what? Yep, it's loading in more. But it's doing more than that actually, because Any moment now you will see a screenshot which you get very well acquainted with while playing this. Turn the disc over. Alright, so let's turn the disc over, and alright, okay. So now it's loading again. So you get this sequence. It's still loading while you're seeing this. So this is the G.I. Joe main base, with presumably the vehicle carrying your soldier to wherever it is you're going. Clearly he is not in any hurry, but because the loading takes so long, we get to see that fascinating animated sequence a second time. And sometimes it takes so long to load, you get to see it a third fucking time. The trouble is, once the level has loaded, it starts straight away. There's no press fire to actually start it. So you have to, here we go. Now, I am this bloke in white, and I am fighting this cunt in blue. Now, you can't just keep on firing whenever. You'll notice in the top left there, it shows our energy bars. It also shows when you can fire. Underneath the energy bar there is that like circular display. While it's red you can't fire, but when it's green you can fire. Now, as well as the opponent you're actually trying to take out, there's also this other thing that's just moving around. And if that hits you, of course, it takes away some of your health as well. So I've defeated this cunt once. You actually have to defeat them twice. Once you've beaten them the second time, then that is it. Oops, I took a hit there. Fucking hell. I am actually a lot stronger than the person I'm going up against. The various soldiers who are available to you have their own strengths and weaknesses. Because I have no idea about the action figures or the cartoon, I don't know what those strengths and weaknesses are. I just know that there are some. Now, I'm going on the relatively safe assumption that this game is aimed at kids as I win that level. And the reason is because, I mean, it's based on action figures and it's based on a cartoon series that itself was based on the action figures. So yeah, it really is a kid's game. And that level which I've just shown you there, most of the levels are like that. And then once you get through, you've got all these sort of presentation screens, followed by, you know, the crappy scrolling message that comes along. I mean, this is the Cobra base here. I mean, they, you know, whoever it is who's in charge of reconnaissance for G.I. Joe can't be much cop, because look at the size of this fucking building. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, it has 6 Cobra heads on prominent display, but they have no idea where this secret base is. So there you go, right, Cobra will strike back, yeah. So now we go on to the next mission. Well, it's up here again. I'll select this one, because I'm okay here. So now we've got to wait for this to load. Right, now you'll see that Baroness has the prison icon over her, so yeah, she's been captured, she's now in jail. So I'm going up against Scrap Iron here. So of course the idea then is to get all of Cobra in prison. I may as well go with the same bloke actually, because I'm in another snow area. you know, I did alright with him last time, so yeah, let's choose him again. You do know what that means, of course. Yep, it means that. Now, for a game that is aimed at kids who don't have the greatest of attention spans, all this constant disc accessing and constant having to flip the disc over, especially when the game fucking crashes like it has just now, just all adds up to what is a biblical pain in the arse, as I now need to reset the game. Except I didn't have to reset the game. Okay, that animation sequence froze, as did the music, but the game was still loading. I've not had that problem with me, although I have had issues with this title constantly. I don't know if it's because of the emulator, or if, you know, it just wasn't a particularly stable game. But yeah, this is far from the first time that I've had issues with this fucking title. So things like that, I mean, you know, really don't help either. So we've got the loads of disk accessing, loads of disk swapping, and now we've also got what appears to be some pretty hefty stability problems. And yeah, this is, you know, for a game that's aimed at kids, it's not going well. So obviously this bloke I'm fighting against here is a lot tougher than who I was fighting first. He's taking a lot more hits, but oh, bollocks. Right, looks like one, maybe two more hits and that's him down. Would have bites that could fucking hit him. So, I mean, well, the problem is that this really is about it. This is all you're doing. So all of that disk accessing and everything is just loading in the different backgrounds and, like, you know, your different main sprites. But, you know, the game is no different. The game is the same all the way through. So what I'll do after this, whether I win this one or not, alright, so I've hit him once, so now I've got to do him again. He still has to try and kill me twice. That was not a fucking smart move, but there you go. If the game doesn't look particularly exciting, this particular level, well, there's a very good reason for that. It's not exciting at all. I don't think it's just because, you know, I'm 44, not fucking, you know, like about 10 or however old the age group that the game was intended for is, but oh, fucking yeah, that was smart. It's just a pretty dull game, you know, regardless. Fuck's sake. I mean, you'd think this cunt going around with a fucking rocket launcher would have no problem sorting me out, but no. So there we go, that's him down. Which means first of all means that, then more loading before we get to the map. Now there is yet another issue with this game, which is that if you're going to make a game for kids, you've got to give them an incentive to keep going, to want to actually play it and want to complete it. This game does not do that. In fact, you cannot complete this game at all, because after about a couple of levels played, the either the enemy character you had, you know, put in prison because you defeated them, they managed to escape and they can be selected again by the enemy. Likewise, any of your characters who are captured because you've lost a level, they can get away and come after you. I'll do one more of these levels. So yeah, so any of your or if you've lost a level, so one of your men's been captured, after a couple of levels they get out, and the game just carries on and on and on and on. You cannot capture all of the enemy soldiers, and likewise, so I've got 2 in there now, but I'm wondering how long they'll stay in there for. So I'm now up against Cobra Commander. That name suggests he might be the leader. I'm going to be in the Cobra's headquarters by the looks of it, so I will take I'll take him. Blowtorch. So if Snowjob and Blowtorch got together, I could have a character called Snowtorch. Right, anyway. But guess what? Yep. So now you're starting to see why there wasn't a cassette version release. It just seems to be unworkable. With all this disc accessing and all this constantly having to keep changing the disc around, it leaves you wondering, you know, can the fucking, could a cassette version of this work? And quite clearly, no, it couldn't. Then playing the game does make you think, I wouldn't really have been that eager to try and get the cassette version to work anyway. Let's start the review then. First of all, we'll do the audio. The music gets on your fucking tits. There's no other way of putting it. The sound effects are pretty basic, but I mean they do an okay job. Right, so here we are. We are in the Cobra headquarters. While we are here, yes, there are like these laser weapons that appear from either side, so I've got to watch out for them, as well as this cunt who I'm fighting. This is Cobra Commander, isn't it? Yeah. Those lasers that fire out from either side, they will attack him just as readily as they will attack me. And in fact, a lot of the time, if I'm attacking someone on this level, that's how I win. Oh, you fuck. Trouble is, my shots are so fucking slow. They are powerful. There you go, he's just taken a hit from one of his own men. Yeah, my shots are so fucking slow, but they are quite powerful, so they will do a hefty amount of damage. But as you can see, his shots are fucking fast. So you spend an awful lot of time just wandering around, you know. By the time I get the fire on him, he's long since pissed off from where he was. I think I can only take like one more hit. There we go, so I hit him anyway, so there you go. I won that one. So now I've got to somehow try and get through it, because you've got to do him twice. So after this I'll go and go there, then do the levels where you're in like a vehicle of some description. If you thinking, wow, this looks really tedious, you'd be right. So anyway, I've done audio. Graphics, okay, they are a bit blocky, but I mean, they're not terrible. I don't think they're that bad, but you know, when so much of what you see is, you know, painfully slow animation of some vehicle leaving a large base building, and, you know, or some cunt standing there telling you to, you know, turn the fucking disc over and all this. I think this bloke I've taken is fucking useless. He moves too slow and his shots are so fucking slow. And yet I won the first fucking round. But I've got to fucking do him a second time. Because my shots are so fucking slow, by the time my shot actually gets anywhere near him, all he has to do is just quickly bugger off in the opposite direction. I can't believe I managed to hit him there. So anyway, so I mean, graphic wise it's okay, it's nothing, you know, remarkable, but it's not bad. And gameplay, well, yes, there is gameplay here, but I mean, it's so repetitious. It's just the same thing over and over again. And I mean, even in the levels when you're, you know, in a vehicle of some description, it still doesn't play too differently to this. Oh, you fucking cunt. So there we go. So it's now 1-1. So whoever wins this one wins the fucking whole thing. And because I've taken some cunt whose shots take an age to fucking move, I don't rate my chances of being the one to win. The only thing that's helping is the fact that this, you know, fucking Mr. Intelligence, who keeps, who's supposed to be the head of this lot I'm up against, this Cobra lot, he keeps walking into the shots from his own defensive measures. So, yeah, that's the only reason why I'm winning this round. So, it's one of those games that's even more boring to play than it is to actually watch. And if you're currently sitting there quite rightly thinking that seems unlikely, believe me, it's true. You may be getting bored sitting there watching this, but not half as bored as I am playing it. Oh, fucking hell. So again, the audio's fucked up, but there you go, see, so it is loading. I think that must be a an emulator problem, because I've never had that happen before, but I have had other audio issues crop up throughout the game. But, you know, when I was having warm-up goes of this, because this is not a game that I had back in the day, and I can't tell you how glad I am of that. So yeah, it's still fucking loading. I'm trying to press fire to skip this fucking part, but yeah, here we go. Okay, so let's try one of the levels then where we're in one of the vehicles. So we'll go up again, go to this one. Now all of the targets that you're taking out are ground-based targets. I don't know why. So now there's 3 of them in prison, but this is now the area where they will start to come out of prisons and, you know, escape and head back to the base. So I'm up against Firefly. Now each of these vehicles have their own weaknesses and you know, positives and negatives. The Jeep is very fast, but its firepower is not that great. The helicopter again is very fast and very manoeuvrable, but its firepower isn't that great. The tank is, you know, it has great armour, very strong firepower, but it's very slow. And the jet as far as I can tell, the jets is only good for completely overshooting the target that you're trying to take out and then getting shot down. So I'll go in the tank. It don't make any difference. I'm fucking useless at these levels, so yeah, you're not going to be seeing anything impressive. What you are going to be seeing though is well, a screen you're very familiar with. This again. Now, okay, at least the graphic has changed and we are now actually seeing a tank leaving. If you select the Jeep, you see the same vehicle that we keep seeing before. If you select either the helicopter or the jet, then it actually flies past in the sky. So, cool, there is some graphical variations. Isn't that fantastic? No, I didn't think it was either. So I've pretty much covered well, every aspect. The graphics I've done, audio I've done, and the gameplay is staggeringly basic. I realise, you know, yeah, they probably don't want it to be too complicated because, you know, it's kids who are playing it, but I mean, you know, so I'm trying to take out this fucking thing. It looks like my shots aren't actually reaching it though. There we go, right, so taking out that one. Now, I don't know what targets must be destroyed before the level ends. I know there are some targets that seem to be essential, but I also see, well, it looks like once you've taken out, you know, like a sort of prerequisite number of targets, that's the level then done. I'm missing all the time, aren't I? Right, here we go. I'm going to keep missing here as well, aren't I? Or I can just drive into whatever that was and blow up straight away. Oh, believe it or not, this is, by a distance, the longest I've ever lasted on one of these levels. Oh, there we go, so I've taken out that fucker. This thing down here is another one. That's what I hit, which blew me up, but now shooting at it doesn't seem to be doing fuck all. Oh, fuck off. Right, okay, off we go. But yeah, I don't know if you just have to take out a set number of targets, or if you have to take out a specific target, or if you have to destroy a set number of a specific type of target. Not a fucking Scooby. The game doesn't really tell you. I don't think I've got a limited amount of ammo, so, you know, am I able to get away with just constantly firing? Can I find anything? Okay, alright, there's something there. I'm going to keep, yeah, all my shots are constantly missing. Oh, there we go, so I took that fucker out. Now I can take out the, I'm supposed to be taking out the fucking radar. But again, my shots just seem to keep going straight past, so the collision detection is great, isn't it? I think you're starting to get a pretty good idea of why I'm not a fan of this game. I mean, I'm meant to be blowing all of these area things up, and yet my shots are just going straight through it. What the fucking hell am I supposed to do? Absolutely fuck all. Oh, at last. Fucking shot the thing. Right, now where the fuck do we go? Like I say, this is easily the furthest, longest I've lasted on one of these levels. Okay. Right, now I need to blow up that thing that's behind here. There we go. I don't know if these things are hitting or what. I mean, the explosions look like they are, but nothing's happening. For fuck's sake. There we go. 2 hits and now it's down. Okay, right, what about this fucker? There we go. Right. Now, another... Okay, got rid of that cunt. Over here. Another target. Fuck, bollocks to him. What's next? I don't really know where I'm meant to go now, because say normally I've long since been destroyed on these levels. So, there's another one. Anything up here? No. Oh, fuck it. Let's go back down here. So, well, I mean, I've shown you everything there is in this game. There you go, I've completed the level. So yeah, these, I think they're meant to be blokes who have been captured or something anyway. They escape. Well, at least you haven't got to fucking flip the disc over, I think, to load this level. I can't remember now actually if you did or not. Well, anyways, this is a game that just really gets on my tits, and I can't believe that there were too many kids who liked it too much back in the day. If they were fans of G.I. Joe, I keep trying to remember, was G.I. Joe called Action Force in this country? I think it was. It was some sort of like, you know, action figure spin-off of Action Man or something. But anyway, I mean, any kids who were fans of G.I. Joe, I can't really imagine they would have been too, you know, keen on this. I mean, you know, here we go again. The game just keeps on going, repeat ad infinitum. So we'll load this level. So we're back into the snow again. When it fucking loads. And you will notice that Firefly is the only one now still in prison. Baroness, Cobra Commander and whoever the other fucking cunt was have all got out again. So the game just keeps on going over and over and over. You cannot complete it. I don't know who the fuck to take. Well, I don't care. I just can't fucking face playing this game anymore. I score it 2 out of 10 because the graphics are okay in places. But this was unquestionably the worst game Epyx had done up until this point. I can't believe that the you know, the developers that did, you know, the games series, did Impossible Mission, did the 2 Pitstop II games, and then did this. What a fucking load of shit. So that is G.I. Joe, or rather that's as much of it as I can stomach. That brings this review to an end, and we'll see you at the next one.